here so that we can stream it over to Facebook. And today we're going to be talking about how to get to your first 10K month as a health practitioner. And this is going to be a very important training because basically the foundation of what you're wanting to build is going to be absolutely crucial when it comes to scaling to even bigger numbers. And so we're going to let people in here in a second and get rocking and rolling. Let's go ahead and do this. We are going to. Hello, hello, folks. Hope you're all doing great. Super excited to get this training started for you folks here today. So I'm just making sure that we're streaming this over to Facebook. And then we're going to get rocking and rolling on how to have your first 10K months with your business. So here we go. Just going to make sure this is streaming over to Facebook. And then we are going to be getting rolling. There we go. We are going live. Perfect, folks. So there's going to be two ways you're watching this. Either you're going to be watching it over on Facebook Live, that's going to be popping up here in a second, or you're going to be watching on the Zoom live stream. If you're on Zoom, you can go ahead and comment down below all your questions in the chats as they do pop up. I'll be answering all and every question here today. Awesome. We are live over on Facebook. Good to hear. Good to hear. So excited to have you here, folks. So we're going to be diving in now that we got this streaming. And let's rock and roll. So we have a bunch more people jumping in. As we get started, why don't we do this? Go ahead, comment down below what type of business that you have. Comment it down below in the chat. Go ahead, and then we're going to get this started. Down below, what kind of business do you run, folks? Comment it down below in the chat. If you're watching on Facebook, you can go ahead and comment that down below as well. And we are ready to get rocking and rolling, folks. So excited to have you here. We got Kaylee, Aaron, Anna, hope you're doing great. Emma, Jackie, John Z, Josh. Wow, we got a lot of you. Priya, good to have you all on here. John Z, functional health coach. Love it, folks. So let's dive into today. So the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because oftentimes, if you folks are following along with any of our content, we talk a lot about getting our clients to their first $15,000 month, or $20,000 month. But everyone needs to start by getting to their first 10K month. And what getting to a 10K month actually shows you is it shows you that you have an offer that people want to buy. You actually can build this into a full-time income. And it actually kind of basically it proves to you that you have a foundation that we can build a really reliable and a really good business on. And so this is going to be really important that we actually get this part right so that if you ever want to build more, you want to help more people, you want to support more people, you can. So we have fertility, hormone balance health, teen mental health and parent support, personal training. Love it. Physician coach. Awesome. We got a lot of great stuff here, folks. So here, we're going to go. I'm going to share a kind of bit of a slideshow that we put together for today. And we'll be walking you through basically how to have your first 10K month. And not just how to have your first 10K month, but also this is going to be how you build up to even bigger months in business. And I'm going to be walking you through the non-negotiables of what you're going to need in order to make this happen. Because actually, one of the things I wanted to mention right off the bat, I'll probably mention it a couple times today, is that there's a lot of things that people say you need to get to 10K months. There's a lot of business mentors saying, hey, you need this or you need that. And I'm not going to be sharing with you any of the fluff that I don't think is absolutely non-negotiable to get you to 10K months. Okay. I'm going to be sharing with you the stuff you need. There's a lot of extra stuff. You'll see people talking about, I don't know, like having a website or having to have an email list, or let's say some people think like, oh, you have to get really good at storytelling or you have to get really good at this or that. A lot of those things, they're just nice to have. They're actually not non-negotiables. So I like to kind of just basically strip it down to just like the bare bones of what you need so that you can focus on the right areas, because strategy is basically taking your limited time as an entrepreneur and it's focusing on the most important areas to get
Hey, sorry.
all
I
that
was
you're looking
switching over to my earpiece.
for. That's going to be really important. So
Oh,
um,
what's going
folks,
on?
if anyone is, oh, we got some people chatting.
Uh, I mean, after that meeting, I'm like kind of confused. And
Mute this. Okay, everyone, make sure you're on mute. There we go. I'm gonna make sure everyone's muted here, just so that we're not we're not getting distracted here, folks. So, if you're coming in, just make sure you're muted. Thank you so much, folks. So let's get back to this. So I want to make sure that you're going to get to your first 10K month. So the first thing is we got to have a good plan because there's so many people who spend so much of their time on the wrong areas. I often say like spending too much time on strategies that are not important is the biggest way to make sure your business does not grow. So I want to walk you through exactly how to have a plan, how to be strategic with it, and what is absolutely non-negotiable for you to hit your business. Okay. So I want to make sure that the folks, I mean, actually, let's comment this down below. I want to get a little bit of interaction here. How long have you been trying to get to, let's say, 10K months, or how long have you been trying to grow your business? Comment it down below in the chat. I'm curious, is it like, are you fresh? Are you like month one? Are you like, no, I've been doing this for a year. I've been doing this for 3 years. Comment down below. The biggest reason we've seen, Elisa says 2 months, just a few months, pretty fresh. Hey, fresh is good. I love the people who are fresh. 9 months, 2.5 years full time, 4 years part time. Okay. I see the biggest reason why, frankly, most people don't see the results they're looking for, especially if they've been working on this a long time, is that they didn't have a plan or the plan wasn't strategic. Okay. This is going to be very important. Now, because many people come up with a plan, but the plan isn't actually going to lead them to, let's say, a 10K month or a 20K month. And so we want to make sure that not only are you building out something strategic, because actually my wife made a post this morning and it was so good. It actually speaks exactly to this. I'm gonna go share this post with you folks. So my wife, who actually I run the company with her, this morning she made this post and she said, you know what's worse than being inconsistent? Being consistent with the wrong things. And that's what I want to talk about here today. A lot of you, especially if you've been doing this for more than a couple months, you've been consistent. But if you've been consistent with the wrong things, you're still not going to get the results you're looking for. It's kind of like if I wanted to be a marathon runner and I was super consistent at warming up and stretching, but I was not consistent with my running, I'm being consistent with the wrong thing to get the goal that I want. And so we want to walk through what's actually going to be helpful for all of you. So today, you will leave not only with a plan, but a strategic plan that has been proven to work for health experts right now. What I'm sharing with you here today is not just something I dreamt of one night. It's something that I actually worked with hundreds of coaches on, and I've seen it work again and again and again and again, which is why I said this is the bare bones. This is the non-negotiables. You have to do these things to get to 10K months. The other stuff is it's hit or miss. This is the non-negotiable, okay? So there are 4 phases to your first 10K month, and I want to walk through these kind of briefly for you folks. And like I said, if you got questions as we're kind of going through this, feel free to comment them down below. So phase number 1 is you. Okay, this is really important. I often like to say that most businesses that are not at 10K months or 20K months, usually it's a user error, right? It's kind of like when you have an error on your computer and it's like, well, sometimes the error is the computer, like the hardware or the software, there's an error there. But oftentimes it's a human error. And usually in business, that's the same thing. Everything starts with you, especially as a new entrepreneur where you're doing everything. You are doing the marketing, you are doing the selling, you are doing the delivering, you are doing the finances, you are doing the legal, you're doing all of it. Everything starts with you, and you must be the right version of yourself to succeed. A lot of people say in business you have to be your best self to succeed. I don't really agree with that because what does even your best self even necessarily mean? You have to be the right version of yourself to be successful in business. You have to be a strategic version. You have to be a business savvy version of yourself. So let me break this down into a couple different things that I've seen across the board as far as who you want to be as a human in order to be successful. So on a mindset level, the people that I see who are successful, they're humble, resilient, and motivated. I'm not going to go too deep into this stuff. I want to get to the kind of like more like the nitty gritty strategic stuff with you here today, but these are important. Humble enough to ask for help. People who ask for help are more likely to succeed faster. Resilient. Business isn't easy. I like to be completely transparent with all of you folks. Building a business is harder than most 9 to 5 jobs. It's going to take probably more time. It's going to require you to be more skillful. It's going to require you to sometimes work late, sometimes maybe even work weekends. You got to be resilient if you want to be an entrepreneur. And then you got to be motivated. And I would actually also put in here discipline because you have to do the things that maybe sometimes you don't want to do because, again, as a new entrepreneur, you're doing everything in the company. So this is the mindset you have to have: skills, I mean, the main ones are marketing, sales, and delivery. If you do not have skills in these areas, you will not get to 10K months, because if you can't market, you will never have people attracted to your business. You won't get to 10K months. If you can't sell, you might have a big audience, but you have no one buying your program. And if you are really bad at delivery, don't have good skill sets, you'll have people buying, but then they're going to want a refund. They're going to do chargebacks. They're going to not re-sign. They're not going to send referrals. And that's so hard to build a business that way. So all of these things are incredibly important. Now, also environment is actually critical as well. I'm calling it supportive and productive. Number one, supportive, meaning that the people that you're around, or even your peers, or even the community that you're like online with, is supportive of your goals. Because if anyone, I mean, comment down below how many of you have had family, friends, or whatever it is who meant well, but they actually weren't supportive, and it was kind of really hard when building your business. I don't know about you, but I've experienced that. And I had to learn how to create a supportive environment for myself when I was growing my business. And also, you have to be productive. You can't have an environment that's just like all over the place. If you're not able to be productive with your work, it's going to be incredibly hard to get to 10K months. Okay. So, from a user standpoint, from a you standpoint, these are the things that I would look at right off the bat. Is this making sense? Comment down below if this is making sense. As you can tell, I'm talking very fast. I'm going through this very quickly because I want to make sure that we can get to, I'm calling it the good stuff, but it's more like the strategy, the tactic stuff, but it's making sense. Aaron says yes. Anna says yes. Is it making sense for anyone else? Or if I'm not, then I'm doing a bad job. Joe says yes. Awesome, Joe. Good to hear. Good to hear. So those are the first things. User errors are the biggest reasons businesses fail, is because the person running the business isn't set up to do it. Now, the second thing is business foundations. Okay, so you have to have the right offer and the right ideal client. I'm going to, again, breeze through this phase. Phase 3 and 4 is where we're going to be diving into most of like the big topics, but this is a really critical one. As far as having the right person that you're selling to and what you're selling, most people who want to get to 10K months, this is just a non-negotiable. You have to have a good specific niche, and you have to have a great offer that solves problems for people. Trying to get online now to start my program. Awesome, Priya. I love that. So this is going to be absolutely critical. So there is no one that, I mean, we've helped at this point hundreds of people get to having a 10K month. No one got there without a niche. No one got there without a great offer. Okay, so these are non-negotiables. Now, some of you probably on here already have it, which is why I'm kind of breezing through it. If you don't have this, you need to absolutely hone in on this right here, right now, because the rest of strategy all bleeds from this. Okay, it all comes from this. So you have to have a really great niche. Now, I will say a couple things quickly here. So many people have told me, Ruben, I don't need to get a niche. I don't need to get targeted. I don't need to get specific. I'm just going to work with everyone. Those same people come back to me 6 months, 12 months later, and they're like, Ruben, it's not working. And I tell them it's their niche. It's the niche. You have to be specific. So as much as you maybe are like, I can help everyone, if you talk to everyone, no one is going to listen. And so it's harsh advice. It's true advice. I'm sorry if that offends you a little bit, but that's just the way it works. Okay. I want to give it to you straight, because if I'm not going to give it to you straight, who will? Okay, so your niche needs to be specific. Your offer needs to be really clear. Okay, it needs to be very specific. It needs to have tangible results. I know a lot of you people also work with intangible stuff, but it does translate to tangible stuff. Okay, so you want to have tangible results, you want to have proof. It needs to be compelling. It needs to be something that's attractive and people want to buy. And remember, as far as an offer goes, people buy results. Okay, they buy the benefits that they're getting, not necessarily the features. So many people, they're always like, oh, should I do weekly calls or bi-weekly calls, or should I have this software practice better, or should I have modules? A lot of that stuff doesn't actually matter very much. We've had so many clients join our program, get to 10K months, 20K months, without having fancy softwares or modules or whatever it is. You need to have something that gives people results, and it gives them a good experience. Okay, so those are the essentials there. If you have any questions about niche and offer before I'm quickly moving on from this, please do comment them down below now. I want to make sure that any questions here are answered, because you need to be the right version of yourself. You have to have the right business foundation so that we can actually build off of that. Because the next two phases, which are kind of the more like tactical, nitty-gritty, strategic client acquisition stuff, is all built off of this. So any questions off of this? If you have no questions, comment down below the word no. If you do have questions, comment down below your questions. So I'll give it 5 seconds here. No questions? Perfect. Perfect, folks. Perfect. Okay, awesome. Then we will move on to the stuff that's going to take a little bit more time here today. So We've gone through this. So you need to be the right version of yourself. You also need to have the right business foundation, right? It's kind of like thinking about if I want to build a house, I need to have the foundation, right? The concrete laid, which is this, but I also need to be the right person. I need to have the skill sets of building a house. I need to know how to read a blueprint. Need to know how to nail wood together and build all of the stuff. I used to frame houses, so I'm not sounding like I know how to frame houses because I don't think about it very much, but you need to be the right person. You need to be a house builder and you need to have the foundation. Now we can build the house, okay? Phase three, client acquisition. You need a simple and clear path to turn a stranger into a client. There's a couple here things I want to touch on here. Number one is the last line, stranger into a client. So many people, which is great by the way, you start by getting friends and family and acquaintances and referrals as clients, right? That's how a lot of businesses start. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to get to 10K months and to actually like be consistent and eventually scale, you're going to have to learn how to turn strangers into clients from social media. Okay, this is an absolutely non-negotiable skill because your circle of people that you know and friends, family, word of mouth, referrals, all of that is not expanding at the rate that you need for you to have a successful business. You'd have to be having an extra 5 to 10 friends every single day. And most of us are not that extroverted to get 5 to 10 new friends a day. I know I am not. And so you need to learn how to turn strangers into clients, which is a little bit harder than turning family and friends into clients. And so you need to become more skillful with this. The other thing I want to talk about here is a simple and clear path. Okay, this is very, very critical. So many people I see on social media, it's all over the place. They're on a couple different platforms. They have content posted here, but it's shared to here. They're not really sure if their audience is growing. Their content kind of doesn't get a lot of engagement. Like there's all this stuff going on. And they're like, well, I should send people to an email list, but the email list isn't growing very fast. And lots of people aren't even like seeing the social media content. It's just like, it's a mess. You want to have a simple and clear path of where people find out about you, they get nurtured and warmed up, they learn about your offer, and they buy your offer. You want to have a very clear path of how you're using social media. So this next slide, which has probably the most detail out of any slide on this, I guess, presentation. If you want to take like a screenshot or a picture of this, this is probably a good one to take a picture of. Okay, so this is going to be a pretty detailed slide here. So we want to talk about what does it look like for you to build this out. Okay, so the way that I like to describe it, and this is kind of part of what we consider our loop method, by the way. The loop method is something we give to all of our clients to allow them to grow their businesses. Basically, you need to have a way to have new audience coming in. Some people call it traffic or whatever it might be. You need to have traffic or eyeballs or audience coming in on the top end of your business, okay? You need to then be able to turn those people into what we call leads. And then you need to learn how to nurture those leads, and then you need to learn how to sell to them, okay? This, by the way, is non-negotiable. If you don't have these four things, getting to 10K months and sustaining it and wanting to grow is going to be basically basically impossible. So let's go through these things one at a time. And I'm going to be giving you some numbers here today because I want you to know what it's going to take to actually get to a $10,000 a month with your business. Now, before we dive into that, comment down below when you folks are selling your offer, what are your price points? I actually want to get a little bit of a read on price points. So are you, excuse me, are you selling it for $1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is? Comment down below the price point of your offer. And that's going to also help me understand kind of some of the numbers that I want to be giving you folks here today. So go ahead and do that. 2K for 3 months. Awesome. Perfect stuff. Yeah, go ahead and comment those down below. And if you're watching the Facebook Live, folks, you can comment down below as well. Hope you're enjoying it over there as well. Group, $600, 101, 7,500 to 15,000. 3K for 4 months. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, this is good information, folks. So let's go. Basically, let's go with audience growth. With audience growth, for most of you, you're going to need to be getting, I'm giving you averages here today. Okay, so it depends a little bit on your price point here. That's why I asked for it. But on average, if you want to get to $10,000 a month, you need to be growing your audience by 50 people per week. Okay? Go ahead and comment that down below. 50 per week new followers. Okay? This is absolutely going to be critical for this. The truth is, could you get to a random 10K month without growing your audience? Sure. But if you want to be, I mean, if you're in business, I'm guessing you don't want just a random 10K month. I'm guessing you want to get there, you want to sustain it, and then you want to grow on top of it. Okay. So 50 followers per week. Okay. So you need to make sure that you're actually doing this strategically. So the first thing is you want to choose actually is which platform are you going to be utilizing to grow your audience. Okay. So folks, comment down below where you want to grow your audience. Is it Instagram, like IG, Facebook? Where are you wanting to? So as far as which do I recommend? That's a great question. Right now, I would say most of our clients are seeing slightly more success on Instagram, TikTok versus like Facebook and LinkedIn. That being said, I mean, we have some clients doing 6 figures a month on LinkedIn as well. So there's good options there as well. We got a lot of Instagram here. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So you want to choose a platform, then you want to choose a method of growing your business. Okay. Of growing your audience. So the methods, basically you have 3 different methods. Okay. And I'm kind of sharing with you all the options. A lot of business coaches will be like, only do this or only do this. But basically, and I'm going to type these down below, you have organic methods, you have paid methods, and you have collab methods. Okay. Those are the 3 different methods of growing your audience. Okay. Organic is, it could be organic content or organic conversations or like on Facebook, being in other Facebook groups. Paid is obviously paid traffic. Right now, a lot of our clients, a lot of the people that we work with are doing these what we call $5 a day Instagram ads that are getting them like 50 to 100 followers a week, which are working insanely well. And then there's collaborations, which work well as well. So here's the crux. Here's the most important piece. It doesn't matter which platform or even method you choose. What needs to be true is just that you're getting 50 new followers per week and that they are good quality followers. That's what you need, right? That's the non-negotiable. Okay. So many people get so like messed up being like, oh, it has to be this method or it has to be this platform. No. They all work if you work. Okay. The most important thing is that you hit these numbers. So if you're already on a platform, let's say Instagram, a lot of you on Instagram, great. Let's figure out whether it's organic or paid or collaboration strategies to get you 50 new followers per week. Okay. So that's what it needs to be. And that's why, I mean, when people work with us, this is how we do things. We actually customize. So we'll look at what's your platform? What method do you want to use? Do you want to do organic stuff? Do you want to pay a little bit and make it easier for you? Do you want to do collaborations? Like what's going to be the best way for you to grow your audience? And that's how we customize strategies to people instead of just giving everyone a cookie cutter plan, because that's just a disaster if a business coach just gives everyone the exact same plan. So anyways, audience growth is number one. What's a collab option? Great question, Anna. So a collab option is you could do workshops with other professionals in similar spaces or who serve a similar demographic, right? You could do workshops together. You could cross-pollinate. You can also do like collaborations on Instagram. Like you could do a reel together. You could also like shout out them. They can shout out you. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it. Podcasting, right? If you go on someone else's podcast, they come on your podcast. Collaboration, right? It's lots of cross promotion. So that's how collaborations work. Now, the next step is, okay, you have these new followers. That's fantastic. But a follower does not equate into a sale if you're just not intentional. I've had people join our program who had 50,000, even 100,000 followers, like on Instagram. They were making zero money. Why? They were great at this one thing, audience growth. They were not good at the rest of it, the generating the leads, the nurture ecosystem, the selling, all of that. Do you recommend a podcast to grow? Good question. For 90% of entrepreneurs, no, podcast is going to be a waste of time. There's most people shouldn't be starting a podcast. And if you do, it should probably be further down the road. Probably should be making 20 grand a month already. There's small situations where you can do it, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. It's just a lot of setup for a very minimal gain to start. So that's my 2 cents on it. So now you need to learn how to turn these audience members into leads. Okay. So lead generation is basically taking your current audience and basically getting people to raise their hand and to showcase that they are a warm lead. There's many different ways to do this. You can utilize content, you can utilize some conversations, but basically you can use freebies. The whole idea of this is that you are now warming up your audience. Now you have to think these are strangers, right? These aren't friends, family, referrals, da 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 da. So you need to build trust strategically with them, okay? So you need to go overboard, and that's why I have here like the wow factor method that we use as far as like making sure that you kind of like wow your leads. We do different things on Instagram where a lot of people who come check us out on Instagram, we give them Instagram audits. We give them all this free stuff that like just really showcases like number one, our authority. It showcases that we're providing value, builds trust, all these different things. Lead generation is a lot about building the know, like, and trust, giving people free resources and information, and getting into a relationship with them. Because people buy from people that they like, they know, they trust. And how do you do that? You actually build a relationship with someone through content and conversation. And people are reaching out to you to grab your freebies. So you want to make sure you have a great content schedule with this. I'm not going to go crazy in depth on this, but I'm going to give you some numbers here today so that you have a good idea. So I told you you need 50 new followers per week to get to 10K months. You need to generate 20 leads per week. I want you to comment that down below. 20 leads per week, okay? So 20 leads per week. This is basically, and how do I basically quantify this? The easiest way is to basically be like, how many people are you giving like a free resource? We call them value pieces. How many people are you giving a value piece to per week? Because if someone like sees your content and messages you or commenting that they want something for free or whatever it is, that's a good sign that they're leaned in, they're curious about what you have, etc. And so you want to get 20 of those out per week, okay? That's going to be really critical. Now, and here's the truth. A lot of people are like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. Well, it breaks down to 4 a day, okay? If you're working on your business, getting out 4 a day is not that crazy. And it's something that you can actually scale, okay? So you need to be generating these leads. Now, out of those 20, those are basically what we call your highest intent leads, which means those are the most likely people who would jump on a discovery call if you would nurture them properly. Okay. So, and again, this actually, again, what I'm giving you here today, it can work on Facebook, it can work on LinkedIn, it can work on Instagram, it can work on TikTok. Like, this is why we do it this way, is because so many people want to know, like, oh, what's the one little TikTok hack that will get me viral and get me followers? That's not what we're all about. We can teach you how to go viral. We can teach you how to get followers. That's fantastic. But you need to have, remember when I went back, where was this slide? A simple and clear path. This is what I'm trying to show you here today. Let me give you some examples from clients that we're working with right now, just so that you can have a visual of this. A lot of the health practitioners or health experts that we work with, let's say they're using Instagram right now to grow their audience. The method is a lot of them are doing organic and they're doing our $5 a day Instagram boosted strategy. They're getting about 100 new followers per week, and about 80% of them are high quality. Okay, so pretty good high quality. Then what our clients are doing is for a value piece lead generation is they're posting content that's getting people to comment or DM us or like vote on polls on our stories, basically to say, hey, I want that free thing, I want that free resource. We are then getting into conversations with these people. We're going over the top. We're building relationships with them because they're coming to us actually, which is fantastic. And then we're building out a nurture ecosystem. Right now that we have them warmed up, how do we actually have a nurture ecosystem? A nurture ecosystem is basically how do you keep these people warm after they've said like, hey, I want a freebie? Because I'm guessing, I mean, I'm sure some of you have experienced this where you've given away free resources and then those people just ghost you. Anyone experience that? Comment down below yes, if that's been an experience of yours. If you've basically been like, hey, I've gotten into conversations or I've given people free resources or they've come to like a workshop but then like just like dead, then it's just like ghost you. If that's what's happening, you're probably growing your audience. You might be doing lead generation, but guess what? Your nurture ecosystem is failing you. People are slipping through the cracks. So you want to have a better way of continuing these relationships. Now, this is actually where it's very, very important to understand these people, like let's say it's 20 people a week that you're generating as a lead. These should be your highest priority. We actually talk about often like these are your VIPs. These are your VIPs. Treat them as such because basically if you do things right, out of those 20 leads that you generated this week, there is 2 to 4 of those people who would likely buy your services and pay you in the next month if you did things correctly. So spend ample time and energy and creativity on those specific leads, which is a lot about how to have great conversations with people. We use different things sometimes like emails or workshops here, but we also have a really good follow-up cadence of like how to make sure you're actually like keeping a relationship, not just letting it die. Okay, so that's where you want to just really nurture these leads, because if you nurture them properly, out of those 20 leads per week, you should be on average, and I want you to comment this number down below, you should be having 4 to 5, oh, I'm not typing here today, discovery calls per week. Comment that one down below. 4 to 5 discovery calls per week. Now, some of our clients do sell in the DMs. We have a couple clients who are doing $10,000 a month who they don't do sales calls, they just sell in the DMs. But I'll be transparent that 90% of our clients do jump on some form of like, whether it's a short discovery call or a longer discovery call to make the sale. Okay. And so this is going to be absolutely critical. Now, I know a lot of you talked about your price points above, which is like for some of you, 4 to 5 a week, if you're actually closing well, you could be making a lot more than $10,000 a month. I'm setting this up so that even if you have a low price point and a low close rate, you're still going to get to 10K months, because I want to hedge our bets in that direction. Okay. So this is where, I mean, you want to have a pre-sold strategy. The reason I talk about this a lot is so many people just try to get people on a call, and basically the sales is so hard because their marketing isn't good. They haven't pre-sold someone. You want to make sure you're pre-selling people. So we give our clients what we call a pre-calls checklist strategy, which is basically what are all the things that need to be true before you sell to someone so that it makes it easier to have a sales conversation. We don't teach aggressive sales or pushy sales, but we want to make sure that you're actually still feeling compelled, and you're compelling, I should say, and people want to buy from you. Why shouldn't we disclose prices without a call? That's a great question. So some people decide, basically there's a spectrum of price transparency. You can be completely price transparent. You can be completely price opaque, if you want to call it. And then there's a spectrum in between. What we have found works best is if price transparent is like you list all of your prices, let's say on your website or in the conversations, and then there's people who like don't tell anything about price, right? Like let's say there's the spectrum. We have found the businesses who are most successful on average are 75% of the way here, where they're mainly not sharing prices. They're mainly sharing some ranges, or maybe someone books in a call on the form. Maybe there's a little bit of an idea of what the price will be. We have just found on average that has been what the most successful businesses operate on. Okay. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just telling you what the data says. Okay. You can interpret the data the way you want it to, but that's where we advise most people to be fairly basically at the point of like a little bit of price transparency, but mainly getting on a call, because also a lot of people are looking for the cheapest solution, and you don't want to be selling to leads who are just trying to go for the bottom dollar. Those end up being usually bad clients. They usually don't end up doing the program. I have found the people who want the lowest price and they always need the price up front usually end up being the worst clients. And so for you as a business owner, I want you to be getting the best clients who they're looking for the best value. Okay. They're not coming to you because you're like a Dollarama or a dollar store. They're coming to you because you have great value. You can solve their problems. Okay. That's going to be a very important piece about here, because I've seen too many times people being like, I'm going to go price transparent. I'm going to go cheaper prices. And they end up hating all the people that they work with, which just isn't good, because then guess what? You're not going to serve people in the long term. You're not going to help people in the long term. And that's just not effective. Does that make sense? Comment down below if that makes sense. I've just seen it again and again. You want better clients, charge a bit more, and they will not mind if you're not price transparent. Okay? Simple, clear path to get clients. Here are the numbers. You need to be getting 50 new followers every single week. You need to be getting 20 of those to become a lead, right? Grabbed a freebie from you, got into conversation with you, etc. Join your email list, Facebook group, stuff like that. Then you need to nurture those people incredibly well every single week. Build a relationship, go overboard with them. You want to be booking about 4 to 5 discovery calls out of those leads every single week. And then out of those 4 to 5, you want to be closing probably 2 to 3 per week. If you do that, even if your offer is like only like $800 to $1,000, you will still get your first $10,000 month. Now, for some of you, with that same system, a lot of our clients, because they sell packages of 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, With this exact same system, they're getting to 20K months with this, which is fantastic. But I'm building this out, like I said, in a way that's going to give you the highest likelihood of making this happen. Makes sense. I did a testing group. One lady is paying $50 a month, and she is the most difficult person. Yes, exactly, exactly. It's very, very hard to build a business off of the lowest price because your margins are so low. The clients that you want to work with, they're just not great clients, which is why we get a lot of, I mean, the people that we work with, we want you to get paid well. We want you to actually like really get value for your services and attract clients who want to put in the work, right? It's crazy to me. I've had clients who charge like, let's say $500 for like a 4-month program. I've gotten them to just triple their prices and all of a sudden their clients were better overnight. And it's because people pay more, they pay more attention, they get better results, you get better testimonials, etc. If you charge less, people are less invested in your program. They're not showing up as much. They're more of a pain in the ass for you. They're not going to be a testimonial, so you can't market and you can't get more clients. Basically it's a self-fulfilling cycle one way or the other, and you want the better one. People pay more, they get better results, you get better testimonials, you can market better to get more clients. That's the ladder you want to be walking up on, okay? So is this making sense? Comment down below. I want to make sure this is making sense, folks. So what do you need actually to get to 10K months? The first two things I talked about is you need to be the right, correct version of yourself, okay? Again, user error is one of the greatest reasons most of the businesses will never get to 10K months. The second thing is you have to have your offer and niche solidified. Do not skip that part. You need to have that well. Phase number 3 is this, a clear, simple, direct path of turning a stranger into a client. Again, 50 new followers per week. I don't care the platform. I don't care the method. We can teach you the different platforms, the different methods, okay? But the non-negotiable is 50 new per week. Good quality. Then you need to generate 20 leads per week. You need to get 4 to 5 discovery calls per week. And then even closing 1, 2, maybe 3 if you're really good at sales is going to absolutely get you to your first 10K month. And for some of you, that in fact can get you to your first 20K month as well, okay? So folks, I'm gonna have one more, I have one more like phase to go through here. It's a fairly simple phase. If you have questions about the training so far here today, please, please, please go ahead and comment it down below. But phase number 4 is just world-class delivery, right? The coach who can deliver the best wins, okay? Which is basically how do you have great retention and great referral? And I'm going to toot my own horn here for a second because I want to prove a point here. Basically, I mean, this month so far, well, we're August, what's the date? August the 5th. We've had 3 clients in CCI in our program re-sign with us, sign up again after going through our program. These are people who had their first 10K month, their first 20K month, their first 30K month in our first 6-month program, and they signed up again. Guess what? That's going to make it way easier for us to keep our business rolling and to keep serving clients. So retention, basically LTV, right? The lifetime value of a client is going to be absolutely critical for building your business. And referrals, okay? Referrals are fantastic as well. I mean, we get referrals every single week. We teach our clients how to do this as well because referrals are easy to close. But here's the hitch. Lots of people are like, oh, I'll just focus on referrals. If you only focus on referrals and you don't get clients that are strangers to become clients, your referral pool will eventually dry up and die, which is important to turn strangers into clients because if you can do that and then get referrals off of that, you now have an unlimited source of referrals that you can keep building upon. So these are absolutely critical, okay? Most people do not, what was phase 4 called? Basically world-class delivery, okay? So basically that's what it's called. So this is going to be very, very important for all of you to understand is that you need to build a business where retention and referrals are great because you for sure can get to 10K months without retention and referrals, but it's so easy to stay there if you have great referrals and retention, okay? So these are just absolutely critical pieces of this all, okay? So getting to your first 10K month, it doesn't need to be very complicated. A lot of things you don't need. For example, I'm going to go back to this. You do not need a website. Frankly, I think Terry and myself building CCI, we had our first $1 million year before we had a website. Okay. Your social media is your website. It's your landing page. It has about you stuff. It has client testimonials. It has how to work with you. It has all those things you see on a website as far as like the different pages. Your social media has all of that. So you do not need a website. You don't need an email list. You don't have to be on one platform or the other. Multiple platforms are working well. Instagram business account or regular account. I would go for a creator's account probably if I were you, Anna. That's just kind of the way that we see most of our clients going is going with the creator's account. But this is the non-negotiables. The non-negotiables is the user stuff, who you are, the foundation, and then it's these numbers, okay? And I'm telling you this because so many people will say, only this one thing works with Facebook groups, or only this one TikTok hack is going to work. That's just not the truth. They're trying to just get you into one thing. I want to give you the broad scope of what a non-negotiable getting to your first 10K month is, okay? So folks, I got 4 minutes here before I have to jump on a call. Let's have a bit of Q&A here about, yeah, maybe what questions you have about getting to your first 10K month, what questions you have about what we talked about here today. You can either put it in the chat box, or you can raise your hand in the Zoom down below in the chat, and I can like bring you on here live. Either way, we got a couple minutes here, but I wanted to bring this all to you today because I wanted to demystify a lot of stuff, because there's so many people being like, storytelling is the only way to get to 10K months, or they're like, Facebook groups is the only way. It's just no. That's There's a lot of stuff that just isn't true out there, and I wanted to bring some reality to all of this, folks. So I think we have someone who's raised their hand. Who we got? Anna, go for it. Unmute yourself. Ask your question.
Hey, Ruben. Okay, so I going into this, I guess one of the questions I have about what would you give in terms of tips for like protection of from like legalities and stuff like that. Like I know contracts are absolutely like necessary. What are some of the things that you think that we definitely would like need to have to protect us in the
Yeah.
early stages?
100%. That totally, yeah, it's a great question. So number one, obviously contracts. Contracts in business will protect you, and they'll protect the customer. It's supposed to be a mutual protection. So I'm not a lawyer, but I would definitely, yeah, I would make sure that you have either a lawyer look over it or something like that. The second thing is expectation management. Do not oversell and underdeliver. That's the biggest recipe for things going wrong. So one of the things that we look at is like when we do our like discovery calls, we actually, I mean, we have a very sophisticated chat GPT who literally combs through these calls and sees how much we are either overpromising or underpromising. And we try to be on a very good level. So instead of saying like, oh, you for sure will get to 10K months working with us, if I was on a call with you, Anna, I would say something to the effect of, Anna, getting to 10K months is possible with the right strategy. If you were to join our program, we're going to give you these strategies, which have helped our other clients get to 10K months. And I would say it that way instead of being like, you for sure get to 10K months, because you do not want to overpromise. Expectation management is so absolutely critical. And so there's a couple things there that I think would be very helpful for you. Also, on the other end of things, is understanding like where you can do your services. Some people depends on how they're certified or what kind of like classification of therapist or dietitian or whatever it is can only operate in certain areas. So again, just being mindful of those things. So anyways, that's a great question though. How do you price correctly? Priya, that's a great question. This is the last question, folks, I will be able to take live. I have to jump on a call. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. As far as pricing correctly, the most important thing is that you're pricing to be profitable. Okay? That's the biggest thing right off the bat. Because if you're not profitable, your business will never grow, and it will actually die. Okay, so that's the first thing. It needs to be profitable. It needs to be enough to probably pay you a full-time wage. It needs to be enough that you actually are setting aside stuff. Like, you need to price yourself properly there. There is different ways you can look at your competition to see what is the marketplace paying for stuff like that. It's not a bad place to start, but you need to make sure your numbers actually make sense in the grand scheme of things, okay? So those are going to be a couple of the things that I would look at if I were you folks. But that being said, folks, what I wanted to do here just quickly, because I do need to jump off here, is if you're looking at all of this and you're like, okay, I need someone to help like strategize this with me. I need someone to customize this with me. I would love to get any of you who are wanting on a call with our team to hear about how we can like basically customize this all for you. I'm dropping the link down below if you want to book a call with our team. They'll walk you through your business through the eyes of what I just shared with you so that you can see, okay, this is how we need to customize the numbers. These are where the bottlenecks are at. These are the strategies that we would deploy to help you work through those bottlenecks so that you can get to your first 10K month and then 20K month. And so if you want to chat with our team, the link is down there below in the chat. If you need me to send it to you afterwards, I can totally do that as well. So that being said, I need to go jump on a call, folks. It was great having all of you on here today. Thank you so much for jumping in. I'm sure there was more questions that I didn't get to answer, so PM me or DM me directly for that. And we'll be seeing you folks soon. I'm going to be hosting a couple new case studies in the next couple of weeks on how more of our clients have been able to get to those 10K months and 20K months. And they're going to be really great case studies for you to come check out. So that being said, folks, I need to jump off. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Book in a call with the team, and we'll chat with you soon. And have a great rest of your day. Bye for now, folks.